welcome to Making It.
Thank you.
Please introduce yourself and let us know what you're trying to do here in Hollywood.
I'm Rhys Foulke. I'm a comedian. I think I'm in Hollywood not so much to like be a famous person or something, although obviously that would be awesome. But really, I came to Los Angeles in general to become funnier and actually to become as funny as humanly possible. And I felt this was like a good testing ground for that. And so far, it really has been. And I've not been getting famous, to be clear.
So, what is your main medium?
Stand-up comedy. I do have a YouTube channel, but even that is really centered around my comedy. So, yeah.
Nice. How long have you been doing stand-up?
It's been about 4 years now. We're like a little over the 4-year mark. Yeah, I started back in Charleston, South Carolina. COVID time.
What is your expectations in LA for yourself?
Oh, geez. I mean, I gotta expect greatness. I have to expect the highest possible thing. And then I think it's sort of like the corny saying, you shoot for the moon and you'll land among the stars. But yeah, I think I just shoot for Comedy Store regular, touring the country, everything that you could possibly get in comedy in LA, which is basically those things. I think Comedy Store regular and touring the country is the highest goal.
Nice. What would you say were your expectations before you moved to LA? What was it like moving to LA, and how have your expectations changed since you got here?
Damn, yeah. So I moved to LA in a couple stages. So the first stage was pre-COVID, and then I was like, I'm gonna be a production assistant and get coffee my whole life, and I'm gonna just make everybody happy and make movies and be a millionaire. And then I quickly became disillusioned of that, actually getting coffee and realizing that was what the next 15 years of my life would be in some production company, you know what I mean? And so, and at that time I was sort of like, maybe I'll try stand-up comedy because I like it, but I could never do it. COVID hit. Sorry. COVID hits. Every job, every possibility of like advancement in that internship, that sort of production company world gone. I'm like, well, now this is my time to start the stand-up. So I moved back home, start stand-up over there in South Carolina, and then I came back to LA like 3 years ago, or two and a half years ago, and was like, now it's time to hit it. Got some practice back home, got a little better, got a little wind under me, and I came to LA with the mindset of I need to be funnier so that I can end up in New York and be successful in New York. So that was basically, that's basically the impetus. My expectation of coming here was that I would get funnier, and I was right. So far, I've been right about that. Yeah.
And you said you're from South Carolina?
Yeah, South Carolina.
And you started stand-up in South Carolina. What was that like starting out, and then seeing like the difference of the scene there versus like the scene here?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a big difference. Like, for one, like when I was starting there, there's only, as a joke, I sort of say there's 6 comedians. Maybe there's 12, but max. So when you're a month into stand-up in South Carolina or any like really small scene, which it was really small, one open mic a week, pretty much a show every week that anyone could get on, you know what I mean? So like I'm a month into comedy doing 10 minutes for real people as in audience members, and that was like both very encouraging and very cringy looking back. Like if I look back on those sets, I'd be like, oh God, no one should have ever let me talk to like people that paid for a ticket at this point. And then I got to LA, and the difference was somebody pay me to fucking tell a joke. I'm so much funnier than I was then. And the hard part in LA is being funny because there's so much competition, and so much of the open mic culture is like non-supportive, although that's beginning to change, I've noticed, on the west side here. So it really gave me this edge of like, I gotta make these fuckers laugh. Like they don't want to give me shit. They don't want to give me anything. They don't, no pity laughs, definitely no shows if you're just being a shitty new open mic comic. So then that like forced me, trial by fire. I was like, if I don't make these fuckers laugh, like I'll just have nothing. So yeah, it was like that. It really was like a testing zone. What do they call that? I don't know. Trial by fire, I think. But I'm getting thicker skin, so it's good.
So what do you think you need to do next to stand out more? How do you think you're going to get beyond the crowd of all the other open mic comedians? What do you think is your biggest obstacle right now, and how do you want to get over that?
100% my biggest obstacle is my own laziness. If I show up at these, before my biggest obstacle was not being funny. Now I know that I am, and I know I have this sort of edge that I do believe I stand out from some of the open mic scenes, just from not in any I'm the best comedian at the open mics, but I'm enough time into it. I know how to have a little bit of presence. I know how to formulate and tell a good joke, and I know how to get an audience on my side, essentially, which is a skill that I did not have before and recently just developed. So now the only thing that's been holding me back for the last 3-4 months or whatever is that I refuse to show up to these important fucking things, like the Comedy Store, the Hollywood Improv. I just oh, but it's Sunday, it's the Lord's Day, I don't have to go to I need to sit in and play video games because I need to relax, even though I do nothing. So it's purely my own, it's psychological, and laziness is maybe too harsh, but it is purely my own laziness of not going and showing up. I believe if I do that, it'll be a different story.
All right, so with all this talk of laziness and motivation, what does a normal day look like for you?
That's a good question.
Day to day, and when it comes to writing or your creative process,
totally
every day.
Totally. No, that's a great question. I mean, so basically, I'm not one of these guys that wakes up at 1 p.m. every day. I'm not that level of comedy lazy. That is definitely a level. So I probably wake up around 9:30, 10, and if I have a free day, which is most days, or at least 3 days a week, where I'm nothing going on, no one else to worry about, nothing to do, then I'm gonna go on a walk or a rollerblade. But that is the only way I can think of jokes and generate creativity and generate new material, is by taking a long walk. And I can listen to a podcast, listen to music or whatever. So I'll wake up at 10, make some coffee, make some breakfast, whatever, and then I'll walk from say 11 to 4 p.m. And then usually there's a mic later, so I'll chill from 4 to the mic. But yeah, on a real long walk like that, you have to generate content. And just because you're thinking of stuff. And so you do get into your head, and that's where sort of comedy comes from a little bit. So that's my ideal creative process day. I mean, realistically, what do I do every day? Yeah, I mean, it sort of varies. I'm a bit of a trust fund kid. I don't have the typical pressure that I know all my peers have and a lot of other people have of I need to make rent this by doing this and this and this, things that aren't beneficial to my comedy career but are necessary. I'm so blessed by God and parents and the universe and everybody, that I feel it's important for me to not waste it. It's important for me to take this extra free time that I have and to generate creativity, generate something, and make something valuable out of myself. Otherwise, anyone could say, "Wow, you know what people could say."
Alrighty, so with the trust fund and not having to pay as much rent, is that how you would say you survive in LA currently?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and I don't want to give the wrong impression. So I've worked at Ralph's, I've worked at pizza shops, I've done all these jobs because I don't have enough money at my disposal. It's a thing where it's I'll be safe, but I constantly have $0. You know what I mean? So it's yes, that's not something just oh, boo-hoo, poor me, but I it's not I'm running around going to Coachella and fucking bottle service. I'm not that type of trust fund kid. But I'm certainly one through and through. So it's interesting, and people don't know that about me. So it's interesting when that comes out or gets revealed, and you can tell where people are at with that. You can tell sometimes they are genuinely interested and they want to know what that's like, or sometimes they just completely shut you down, like, well, fuck this kid then. I mean, you know what I mean?
Have you experienced that by telling people sometimes, getting shut down or people trying to take advantage of it?
Yeah, it's like jokey. Like, I'm pretty good at shutting them down. Like, I shut down that energy very quickly. So they do it in jokey ways. Like, I remember one time I genuinely told, because I am trying to work on material about this. Like, it's real, so it's true, so it's funny. So I was telling a joke about it, and some guy was like, man, bro, you trust fund kid? Like, damn, I could really use $1,000 right now. Like, I'm not gonna give you $1,000. If I had $1,000, I mean, maybe I would give you some money, but I don't even have that to like just hand out. So people like sort of get in that mindset, but then I see it as like, well, poor this guy. That like, why are you bringing it to that level? Why are you asking me for that charity? Like, who knows? But the other funny thing was I do like a fake character, Jonathan Bahama, who funny character, but his whole thing is like he's like my extreme shadow side. Like if I were just the worst possible person I could be, like the least grateful person I could be, then I would be Jonathan Bahama. So he's like, you know, it's a bit, it's a character, I do it on stage. And then one time I was doing Jonathan Bahama, and this guy that I know personally comes up to me and he's like, so you grew up in a mansion, huh? Didn't grow up in a mansion. And I'm like, no, I mean, Jonathan Bahama did. He's like, well, man, can I borrow some money? And I was like, yeah, fine. Because I thought he needed to get like the bus home. So I opened my wallet and I'm like looking for like $4 to give my friend. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I don't really got much. What do you need? He's like, how about $10,000? I was like, you fucker, dude. But what does it say about you that I actually thought you needed $4? But anyway. So people just say weird shit, but it's never been a real problem in my life. It's truly the judgment.
But it definitely creates false expectations sometimes.
Yeah, people think they know you and know everything about you just because they hear a thing. But it's just like a random fact almost.
Yeah, they have this big idea in their head what this word means.
Yeah.
There's so many different versions and variables.
Totally. I think I get it too, because it's like you hear that and whatever, like, and I've been like this because, you know, I didn't always know I had a trust fund, but you always have this like conception of like, oh, if I just had infinite money right now, probably all my problems would be solved. And that's true for the case of a lot of problems. But when you meet someone that does have relatively infinity money, you know, relative to your situation, they're not living that imaginary life that you created where you have infinity money, where you have zero problems. They have a completely different life, which comes with its own things. You know, it comes with, you know, not that it's easy or it's not that it's harder to be a trust fund kid than anyone else, but they have like an imaginary like princess in a castle life that they think that it is. I believe. I don't know. You know, you tell me. But yeah, I've definitely seen that. I've interacted with that where they think they know you or think they know everything about the situation when they really don't.
Alrighty, you ready for the big one? The big question?
Let's hear it. What's the big question? I don't know if I'm ready.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
What does making it in Hollywood and the entertainment industry look like to you?
To me, it looks like being 100% self-sufficient on my creativity, my product, which is comedy. And so there are venues for that. It used to be if you wanted to be a comedian, the only way you could be self-sufficient is to be a touring comedian or, you know, club regular or something like that. The internet is offering a lot of ways to be self-sufficient. In Hollywood specifically, getting the respect of the comedy scene is something I also desire and sort of like long for, and that comes from. I think it comes from being at the Comedy Store and at the Improv, the two sort of premier clubs here. And, you know, regular, you know, you start as a doorman, work your way up, or start in development and work your way up. So I think that's like the specific pathway that that you would look to for Hollywood. It's funny when people go to like the Comedy Store or the Improv for their literal first time ever doing comedy. And I get it, because you wouldn't know that that's like not what you do. But, you know, you're sitting there and it's like people that are like, you know, this is their like craft. they spend however many years, 10, 15 years doing it, and then it's like, I'm gonna try it for the first time today. And they go to like the most intense fucking environment. So it's getting up in those environments, it's learning how to be funny in those environments, and then eventually I believe, and I don't know, but I believe that will lead to the opportunity. The people that are already up there lifting you up to their level because they see something in you. But personally, if I could just be self-sufficient, where I'd never have to work a job in order to like have money, then that's the goal for me. I think that should be the goal a little bit, because you need time to create, and you need space to create. So if you can reach that level where the necessities of life, like we were talking about earlier, are also your creative endeavors, your creative process, that's called a vocation, and it's not a job. It's something that fulfills you, and it's like a vacation.
So you've been doing stand-up for 4 years.
Yeah.
Stand-up and comedy is very difficult.
Yeah, it is difficult.
Making it in this industry is also very difficult because of the competition.
Yeah.
So if you don't make it in your own terms, do you have an end date in mind when you do something else?
No.
Or do you have a certain age where you would stop?
There will come a time where I will feel bad about not contributing to society, which is probably at like, I mean, who knows? I'll probably adjust this, but like right now, like personally in my head, it's stupid, but like in 5 years, I should be contributing to society probably. Like, so when I'm 30, I should either get a job and continue to do comedy, or hopefully be doing comedy full time. And I don't believe in like plan Bs too much. I think you should go all in on what you're doing and give it all of your energy if possible. So really, by the time I'm 30, I'd like to be making my living and being self-sufficient and giving something back to society with my comedy. But in terms of like, do I have an end date where I'll ever quit, where I'll ever stop? No, I'll never stop. Even if nothing works out ever, and I work in some like dreary, dreadful office job, no offense, but I mean, that's just my life. That's my experience. I think that's everybody's experience that works in them, because like all my friends do, my dad does, everybody I know works these jobs, and it's a sacrifice you make. So anyway, but regardless of that, no, even if I have to do that, the things I don't want to do, then comedy will be the thing that relieves me from that I'll still have to do at night, in addition. But yeah, making it, I don't know, like, is there a point where I'll give up on becoming like, Eddie Murphy or something, like that level? Like, yeah, I mean, I might have already given up on that. You know what I mean? Like making it in the way when I was a kid, like, I'm going to be the best, I might have already given up on that. So yeah, I'm not sure, but.
So Rhys, you seem like a very upbeat guy.
Yeah.
And you seem pretty stable. How would you say you yourself are doing? How are you doing, like, emotionally?
Yeah, I'm doing better than I've ever done in my life emotionally now. And I don't know, this is just, but I shouldn't deny it, but it is because of God entering my life, and take that for however you mean it. It can't be more, I can't be more specific than that. But God, when God comes in, if you allow God in, universe, I'm not gonna say him or she or whatever, then it can lead you to places of like sort of joy and peace and comfort that you did not think possible. I think in the Bible they call it the peace that passes understanding. And so I feel myself cracking into that now, and I can't be more thrilled about it personally. So I know, yeah, it's not like, I know this podcast is supposed to be like, life sucks or whatever, in this interview, it's so hard to be a comedian, but you might have gotten the wrong guy for the first episode. You can push me to like 15 or something if you want.
That's a very beautiful answer.
Thank you.
So this question might be a little different.
Yeah.
What has been your worst experience in Hollywood
so far? Oh, that's really interesting. You mean like related to comedy, probably, or
Related to
yeah,
comedy.
yeah. Because there's been like some random shit, you know, where there's always like random crazy homeless shit, you know, that like, but no, related to comedy, I've experienced a lot of like snarkiness and pettiness and jealousy about people, and it's like the most like the most. I don't know. It's just whatever. There's one specific example in mind that's why I even mentioned this, and it's not like, oh, this guy fucked me over and he stole my living and he stole money from me or didn't pay me or anything like that. I don't have anything like that. But something that always weirdly stuck with me is like I was doing this bringer show, which is not not an accomplishment by any means for the audience. A bringer show is when like you basically have to bring the audience, and if you don't bring your own audience, you don't get to go up essentially. And I was doing it, and it was a competition. It was you know, bleep it out if you want, but the comedy chateau, the comedy chateau, as some people go. And so I was doing a competition, and I was just standing. I was like, yeah, man, I don't know, I don't got much shows like coming up or anything. And but yeah, I got this like competition at the comedy chateau, and this guy comes up. Actually, the same guy that said the thing about the $10,000. I just realized. He comes up, he goes, you know you're not going to win, right? Like, he wasn't even in the conversation. He goes, you know you're not going to win, right? And I was like, what? What? Like, first of all, it's not a prestigious thing. It's not like, you know, it's like I'm in some, like, actual thing. I paid money to be in this competition, right? The place is shitty. It's irreputable. Like, it doesn't have a good reputation. So, like, take it down on any of those points, like, oh, you're going to be in a competition. I'd be like, haha, very funny. We can laugh about that. But he went immediately to, like, the third order thing, which is like, this thing sucks. You paid money to be in it, but also you're not even going to win. I was like, what the fuck kind of mindset is that? So that sort of sums up a lot of interactions I've had with, like, petty, sort of snarky, jealous people. But that it comes to mind frequently.
that is pretty brutal competition. Yeah. I've done that same competition.
Oh,
before.
dude, yeah. Then you know exactly. And just imagine being like, what if you told me, you're like, hey, I'm doing the comedy show. I was like, yeah, but you're not gonna win, Cameron. Don't be. I mean, like, it would be retarded.
I thought I had a chance.
Exactly, and anybody has a chance. Like, anybody has a chance at that thing. You know what I mean? It's so weird. And I did win. And by the way, anyway.
That's fantastic.
But yeah, that was probably the weirdest.
So where you are right now, what do you think your next move in comedy is? What do you think you're doing next to achieve your goals?
100%. And that I've really been gearing up for that, and it's hitting the, like I said before, Comedy Store every week, Hollywood Improv every week. Those two specifically. And I really do want to branch out more to these. I want to go down to Orange County and Hermosa Beach, and I want to go down to San Diego. And I see some of these guys, like, they just travel around and they sort of have these random shows. I think Luke Binkow was like, he was 2 hours out of San Francisco doing some random show. And I want to do that. I want to drive too far for too little money to do comedy for people in different, like, scenes and stuff. So I need to figure out how I break into that. Not quite sure yet. Honestly, not quite sure. On the local front, though, I know the way to break in is Comedy Store, Hollywood Improv. Doing their mic, set of the night. Is it the Lab at the Improv? I know there's the Tuesday one as well. But anyway, not to get specific with it. But that's really the next hurdle for me, I believe.
Alrighty. Is there anything you'd like to leave us with? Any final notes? And there's also a good chance to plug anything you have upcoming. Sure,
yeah. Well, definitely check out, if you like my vibe or anything about me, check out my YouTube channel, Ramblings of a Mad Guy. That's a fun time, and it's short videos and nothing too serious. And then you'll just see me around, like, yeah, I guess that's the point of this. I wish I did have more things to plug. But no, something to leave you with, whatever I've said, my true love in this world, one of them primarily, is comedy. And so whatever your art is, whatever that creative outlet is for you, pursue it and take it seriously and give it more energy than you think you would even need to. And then it will be successful. I believe in that. Yeah.
All right, well, thank you, Rhys, for being here today. Appreciate
Thank you, brother.
And thank you for, being on Making It.
Of course, thank you for having me, my friend.
All right.